Hello and welcome. You're watching the Global Reset from the CNBC TV 18 Prime Ionic Wealth Studios. I'm Prashant Nair. Before we get to our topic of discussion, which is a very interesting one, robotics in focus, I'll get to that in just a bit. Let me quickly, in a minute, run you through a wrap of global markets. Stocks on Wall Street had gone up for almost 6 days in a row, and they snapped that winning streak. And the change are on your screen. S&P down 0.5%, Nasdaq down about a third, the Dow down about 1% or so. There wasn't one predominant driver for the price action except the fact that markets had run up a fair bit. Bitcoin, though, did see a pronounced move. So Bitcoin prices fell almost actually 7% at one point and traded below $86,000, and I think we are just above $86,000 as we speak right now. Remember, Bitcoin is, the speculative end of the market, financial markets, and it's often used by many, especially in the equity markets and other asset classes, as a risk indicator. When people feel better and they want to take more risk, Bitcoin does well, and vice versa. By the way, it was Bitcoin's worst day since March of 2024. Meanwhile, Treasury yields moved higher. I'm talking about the US 10-year. Traders are beginning to anticipate slightly faster economic growth in 2026. Remember, we had the numbers out of Black Friday sales in the US, which are stronger. Otherwise, of course, the Fed is expected to lower interest rates. There was almost a 50-50 split about 10-15 days back about what the Fed will do in December. But I think now there is near consensus that perhaps there is a rate cut which is coming. Fed, of course, meets next week on the 10th. That is a Wednesday, and markets will react on the Thursday morning. Now, yields on the 10-year Japanese government bonds are also rose to about 1.88%, the highest since June of 2008, amid growing speculation of an interest rate hike by the central bank as soon as this month. Remember, the Bank of Japan governor recently alluded to this. And today, there was a press conference by ministry officials, which is the Ministry of Finance officials in Japan, who've mostly echoed the same sentiment that perhaps there is a rate cut, which is a rate hike, which is coming. Higher yen is a bit of a concern for global markets, with a lot of the carry trade dependent on the Japanese currency. On the commodities front, oil prices are up over 1% after OPEC Plus reaffirmed its decision to suspend production increases during the first quarter of next year. The Russia-Ukraine war in focus. There is, of course, also movement as far as Venezuela and the US is concerned. Military buildup around Venezuela is continuing. Back home, the Indian rupee has fallen to yet another record low, touching 89.92 against the USD. This is a fresh record low. And we are pretty close now to the 90 to a dollar mark. Okay, well, that's the markets for you, right? Now, let's turn our attention to what we wanted to talk about today. We turn the spotlight on robotics, a field that is no longer science fiction and no longer a niche corner of advanced manufacturing, but one of the fastest growing engines of economic transformation globally. Industrial robot installations crossed 5 lakh units last year, with Asia accounting for nearly 70% of global robot demand. Service robotics, from autonomous warehouses to elder care, is now a $50 billion market, projected to double before the end of the decade. And AI, that is artificial intelligence, is accelerating this shift even further, turning robots from programmed machines into adaptive collaborators. But here's a critical question, and it's a question for us here in India. Are we creating enough talent, innovators, and enough early sparks of curiosity to participate in and perhaps be the hub of this transformation, this robotic revolution? And that's why we are essentially doing this program today and focusing on this industry. Across the world, robotics growth always begins the same way, with competitions, hands-on challenges, and platforms that allow young minds to build, break, test, iterate, and dream. It's how countries like the US, Korea, Japan, and even emerging ecosystems in the Middle East and Southeast Asia have built deep talent pools and thriving robotics clusters. In India, we need more such platforms, and that's where the National Robotics League, organized by the Innovation Story, comes into play. It gives students, and by the way, the details are up on your screen. The competition is going to be held at the campus of IIT Mumbai in Powai towards the end of this week. It gives, that is the National Robotics League, gives students from absolute beginners to advanced builders a chance to experience real engineering, thinking, design, coding systems, integration, problem solving, and of course, teamwork. Now, this is how, as we've seen in the US and other parts of the world, ecosystems really get built, and the story really kicks off. We want to talk about this in some more detail, and we want to bring you two voices who represent, in a way, both ends of this global shift, academia and industry. First, we have Dr. Wilczynski, Deputy Dean of the Yale School of Engineering and Applied Science, an educator who has shaped generations of engineers and a strong believer in project-based learning and robotics competitions as pipelines for innovation. In fact, he also co-chairs the Executive Advisory Board of FIRST and has been volunteering with them since 1994. Now, for those of you who don't know a little bit about FIRST, it's a global youth-focused robotics community from local classrooms to international competitions. FIRST has led the way in transforming the next-gen leaders in robotics. Currently, the stats for FIRST go like, FIRST, the organization, go like this. Over 3.2 million participants across 110 countries with 33 million volunteers and educators. Well, the other sort of guest is, of course, from the industry. Sangeet Kumar. He is the co-founder of Addverb Technologies, one of India's most exciting robotics companies, building automation systems, smart warehouses, and deploying robots at a scale that speaks to India's rising technological capabilities. Prior to Addverb, Sangeet was, of course, is an IIT Kharagpur alumnus. He's got over 2 decades of experience in process and material handling automation. He was also with Asian Paints for over a decade, where he led the setting up of automated factories in Chennai and Rohtak. Well, Sangeet, great to have you with us here. Thank you very much for joining us. Professor, great to have you with us here on the program as well. Thanks for joining us. Sangeet, I want to start with you. Welcome to the program. Prashant here. You were associated with the Innovation Story and then, of course, with the National Robotics League, which is going to take place, I think, the first edition later at, as I said, the IIT Mumbai campus in Powai. Talk to us. You're a backer of Innovation Story as well. Talk to us a little bit about the aim, ambition behind something like this, what does this aim to achieve, in your opinion?
So thanks, Prashant, for having me. And so we at Addverb are building the ecosystem in India. We are one of the fastest growing robotics company in the world, building different kinds of robots. So industrial robots, and mobile robots, cobots, quadruped, etc. The National Robotic League and what Innovation Story is doing is building that skill quite early in students. Today, the curiosity has to be generated very early, and the students need to be taught not only theoretical thing, but their ability to build robots. And it is mechanical, electrical, software, everything coming together, students coming together, working in group and competing with each other with their fascinating robots, trying to reimagine robotics in their small way. And it gives a huge exposure, and these people, then some of them will choose robotics as their career, because this is something which India definitely needs if it has to make its mark in the physical AI world.
Professor Wilczynski, let me come to you, sir. You watched robotics evolve from mechanical systems to AI-driven collaborators. If I can just ask you to lay out sort of, basic view, what are the 2 or 3 forces shaping, the field of robotics currently, globally?
Well, certainly the application of artificial intelligence, whether it's for the design, whether it's for the fabrication, whether it's for the coding, that is the current state of the art of robotics. And from high school students to professionals, everyone is involved in this. Everyone is a learner, everyone is an educator. And it's a very, very exciting time because it brings so many disciplines to the forefront. And then you have the latest technology that's actually at your side as a tool for the design, for the fabrication, for the coding. Within the competitive robotics area, this aspect of engaging students has been really fundamental to opening eyes of students, opening eyes to the possibilities. And it's not just the mechanical building, it's not just the electronic, it's not just the programming, it's more importantly the teamwork, the communication skills, the aspect of project management where you have to get to the deadline, you have to build your device. So the exciting time of latest tools combined with opportunities and more opportunities for more students make it a very, very interesting point in history.
Professor, you've seen these competitions in the US for the last many decades. Uh, how have they helped and catalyzed creation of these ecosystem? I mean, were they a big part of it, the journey, in terms of how this industry formed?
So having been involved in the aspect of cooperative competitions with robotics since 1992, working with Dean Kamen, who created the FIRST program, which is the world's largest, best known robotics competition, about 1 million students around the globe, working with MIT professor Woody Flowers on the genesis of this hands-on open-ended problem solving. It's been an attack really on the demand side for education, the demand side for skills, the demand side for applied thinking. Within the United States, you could think of the system as being the supply of the education, whether that's at the elementary school, whether that's at the high school, whether it's at the university. But the real key is to interest students, to let them see the excitement of their ability to solve an equation, their ability to code, but then see something happen in the real world. And to do that not alone, but to do that with a partner, to do that with the team. So the growth of robotics worldwide really follows that element of providing opportunities for students to, in essence, demand more of their education, demand more opportunities, demand more potential within the field of building systems. And the other great thing about this aspect is it isn't just limited to robotics, it's actually the design, fabrication, and coding of all types of electromechanical systems, whether it is a robot, whether it is a mobility device, whether it is some new creative solution. It really is accessible and it's available to students more so worldwide. And that's where the robotics activity that's taken place with the National Robotics League in India is incredibly exciting because it's taken this concept of hands-on, open-ended problem solving and it's taking it across the entire nation. And that's very, very exciting.
No, that's very, very well put, Professor. Sangeet, if I can come to you, uh, talk to us a little bit about where is India and the Indian robotics ecosystem from an industry standpoint as compared to where US is, and of course China's leaped ahead over the last many years as well. Give us a sense where we are, where we are ahead if we are, and where are we behind?
Yeah, so as Professor was saying, robotics is interdisciplinary engineering, and it is an electromechanical system. So earlier, robotics was 90% value addition was electromechanical system. Now, 60% or 70% value addition is software. So that way, it is good for India because we have a software talent pool which can come. But these software talent pool can add value only when they understand hardware. That is very, very important. So as far as India is concerned, in last 10 years, we have grown from zero to $100 million revenue. So that means there is huge market available for robotics at right cost, and that can happen only when we have lot of Indian companies making the ecosystem. So there are today at least 40-50 startups in different field of robotics, in agriculture, in defense, in healthcare, in industrial robots, warehouses, etc., serving the end customers. But the ecosystem which has been created in, let us say, China or Japan or Germany for many, many years, 20 years or 25 years, that has to happen in India as well. The other thing which is happening in robotics is today it is the robotics is known, some form of robotics, mostly quadruped and humanoid or cobot. They are embodied AI or physical AI. They were not limited for a specific task, but it is generalist task which these robots are trying to do. And in that race, I would say that we are almost almost there, but I still feel that we are 1.5 years, 2 years behind what is happening in US or in China. In the last 2 years, I would say there are 40 to 50 companies which are building humanoids, and which is the most complex form of robotics to come in the world and to serve human mankind. So that is something which we are building it. There are few startups in India which have started building it, but as I said, we are around 2 years or 1.5 years behind this thing. There is a huge opportunity for us to build that alternate ecosystem, alternate
Got it. Sangeet, if I can interrupt you, just two, three rapid fire clarifications. One, you said $100 million. We've gone from zero to $100 million. That is, what was that number?
Yeah, so we built this company from zero to $100 million.
Okay, Addverb sales are now $100 million. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What is the industry size in India annually?
So industry, I would say it would be around $500 million, but ours, 40% of our revenue comes from India, 60% comes from overseas.
You said 60 to 70% of value add now is in software, which basically means that out of 100 rupees at the end value, 60 to 70 is, that is simply what it means? What you're saying is
Yes,
on software?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
50
And
to 60%.
in Sangeet, in drones, for example, right? We are, I mean, still a lot of the stuff what we make here is largely assembly. We import parts and assemble here. Is that true with robots as well, or robots? I mean, it's not true, or is there something similar?
So some components like motors or actuators, it still comes from either Japan, Germany, or China. But companies like us, because we did not have ecosystem,
Right.
we build everything. So we buy chips from Intel or
Got
Nvidia
it.
and then build the motor driver card. So electronics, everything is built in India now.
Okay.
But the actuators and motors, we are still dependent on imports.
Okay. Okay. Oh, you know, in drones, 60, 70%, 75% is imported. If you look at parts, what would that percentage in value terms with robots that you're building, Sangeet, just to get a sense, broad number.
So, yeah, I'll just tell you, for general industry in India, it would be 40 to 50%. For us, it would be around 20 to 30%. We are still dependent on
Got it.
parts
Got it.
coming from all
Got it.
over the world.
I have more questions for both you and the professor. I have to take a quick commercial break here. So allow me to do that. Coming right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're with us here on another episode of the Global Reset, and we are talking about robotics and robotics competition, an exciting field which is taking off here in India. There's a National Robotics League happening here. For those of you who don't know, we've been of course, carrying a lot of information around it in the first half of the program as well. We're in discussion with Sangeet, who runs Addverb, and of course, Professor Wilczynski, who's with Yale and has been a pioneer as far as robotics education is concerned in the US and globally as well. Gentlemen, thanks for staying on. Professor, if I can come to you, would you say that when we talk about jobs of the future, and I think a lot of the focus will be on doing things, studying things, which essentially will lead to, which basically leads into a promising, lucrative job market, right? Would you say this is a field where a lot of well-paying, high-end jobs of the future will be created, which is robotics and AI? And I also have a more fundamental question. Once you build good and able robots, won't they build other robots themselves? I mean, do we need as many people doing robotics per se? Go on, sir.
Sure. So we can start with that and work our way backwards. Can the robots build robots? Absolutely. And so in some of the advanced automation factories, the robots themselves are building the robotic arms, the robotic manipulators, the robotic hands. And this type of high precision, repetitive work is really within the realm of what a robotic system can actually do. When it comes to careers, the essence of getting students excited about this capability is they may work in the field of robots, but they're really building the strongest technical foundation, the technical foundation in electromechanical systems, the technical foundation in computer coding, the technical foundation in mechanics, strength of materials. And that technical foundation will serve them well if they continue within the field of robotics, or if they move into a field of science, or if they move into another field of engineering, such as engineering design, engineering electrical systems, and engineering energy systems. So it's really a basis for future education, for future growth for the students themselves.
Sangeet, I have more questions, and maybe we'll have to invite you, both of you, back again on this program as we continue to track some of the developments. We only, I think, barely scratched the surface on this one. Thanks both of you for being on the program today. Sangeet, appreciate your insights. Professor, great to have you with us here. And as I said, we'll have both of you back to continue conversations around this important topic, which is robotics, the field of robotics, and of course, India, getting a foot in the door, building out the ecosystem with, of course, competitions like the National Robotics League as well. Well, that's it on this edition of the Global Reset. Thank you very much for watching. More coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.